Hey there, Utah Progressives. I'm Zachary, and we're here talking to Chris and Sam, and they're both brilliant students at the University of Utah. And today we're talking about an issue that's really important in the States right now, and worldwide actually, recreational marijuana use. And you guys are both marijuana users, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah? Awesome. So how many times a week do you guys use marijuana?
Every other day for me.
Every other day?
I would say once or twice a week.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And how do you use it? Is there different ways of using it? What does that look like?
So there's multiple ways to use it. I choose to use a vaporizer. It's a little easier on the lungs and the body because you're not smoking.
And that's like a contraption?
Yeah, so it's a technology similar to the ones down here where it heats it up with a heating device before it burns.
I would use either a pipe or a bong, as they sell them water pipes. So.
And where do you get pot? Where do you get marijuana?
From friends or friends of friends, just people, normal citizens, a lot of people you wouldn't expect that do it as a side gig.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really available. Friends or friends of friends.
And Sam, you grew up in Utah, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So do you know a lot of people who grew up in Utah that are pot users as well?
Yeah.
Recreationally?
Yeah, a lot of my friends from my childhood friends are users as well.
What percentage do you think would be marijuana users?
I would say of my friends, about 75%.
Oh, okay. Awesome. What about your friends?
Childhood friends, 90%. In Utah, 75%.
Okay. Wow. So what does it look like? What is using it look like? Does it alter your mind at all? Are you slower? Can you still drive?
Yeah.
You can go.
I use it as a relaxation method, usually after a long day of school or work. It's more something that I do before bed or to relax at the end of a day, but people use it at all times for different reasons.
Yeah, it's just same with that, except for recreational it would be kind of it could be a stimulant depending on what type of weed, and it would get you excited, creative, good time, I guess.
When did you first start smoking? Did someone come up to you with like a trench coat and was like, hey, buy some marijuana? What did that look like?
You can answer.
I started smoking in junior high, and you'd be surprised. It starts at a young age, and it's available as it is now. Just friends, older siblings of my friends who had it.
When did you first start smoking,
For
Chris?
me, it was sophomore year of high school. A lot of my friends on the football team were smoking at the time, and my girlfriend and I just decided we should try it out, see what it's like, and that's how.
So most of the people that I talk to that are young people are really excited about legalization, and they don't see any reasons why not to legalize recreational use of marijuana. What's your opinion on that?
So I definitely think it should be legalized. It's not something the government should be controlling, but I do see there needs to be some regulations on hand, similar to alcohol and tobacco. It can't just be a free reign for now. I think eventually cultures could shift, but it's still a drug.
Yeah, I agree with Chris. Definitely something that should be regulated, but should be available and legally.
So what are the other sides to legalization? You are talking about regulations. What sort of stipulations would you put on it? Because, how could it be harmful as pot users?
I mean, I compare it to smoking cigarettes, except for I don't think it has the same health, implications, but it can be abused just like any, stimulant or drug can be abused, but that's why I think the regulations.
Okay. And do you guys usually smoke in the morning, like right before work and school, and you go out and get motivated for the day, or are you smoking? When are you smoking?
For me, it's the afternoon, whether I've had a long day or I still have some work to get done that I just need to kind of compartmentalize my tasks of the day. I'm working multiple jobs, so sometimes thinking too much about another, or if I just need to sleep and I need to quit thinking about the day.
Yeah, mine would be in the evening as well, for the most part.
Have you guys ever been to Colorado since the legalization?
I have.
Yeah? What's it like there? Is everyone just high all the time?
I would say it's pretty much the same as being anywhere else. You can just go in and buy at the store, and then you go home. It's not like everyone's walking around smoking weed.
Okay. And what do the stores look like?
I would compare it to Starbucks or any other store. I mean, they're heavily regulated, so only the best come up. They're not random shops that just set up, so they're really professional businesses.
Sam, what do you think some of the myths or stigmas are around recreational weed use, and how would you combat them?
Sure. So Chris mentioned he was on the football team. I played volleyball all through high school and in college. There's a lot of ideas that it makes you lazy, it makes you dumb, it holds you back. But we're both excelling in school. We played sports. We have jobs. We're doing good things for the community. It doesn't have this negative implication. I think a lot of people think of it.
And so, are your jobs okay with you smoking? Do they know? Like, do they drug test you? Are you like are you in the wrong here, being on TV saying that you're pot users?
Yeah. So neither of my jobs drug test, and both jobs are okay with marijuana. Some of them use it, some of them don't.
Oh, okay. So people at work use marijuana as well?
Yeah, not while they're at work, but on their own time, and they're okay with letting me know that. So.
Yeah, we don't drug test at my job either, and I work with a lot of students, so I hear kind of the similar things from them as well.
If you could tell the people of Utah right now one thing about recreational pot, what would you tell them?
It's not harmful. It's fine. It doesn't say anything bad about you as a person. It's not as unhealthy as people think.
Mine would be that you don't have to do it, and for those of us who do choose to do it, that we still live successful lives and get things done on a daily basis.
How attentive, what does it feel like to be high?
So there's different strains that have different effects on your body. As kind of weed culture progresses, there's a lot more that goes into the different strains, but for the most part, it's either more relaxing, calms your body down, kind of a sedative almost, or there's another strain that is kind of has the opposite effect. It makes you more creative, kind of alert and energized.
Yeah. So for me, the sativa would get you, which is kind of the uplifting one, is really just when you're having a really good time and you're really happy, it's kind of that heightened. And then the indica, which kind of mellows you out, would be when you're just tired, ready for bed, that kind of feeling.
And how does it compare to alcohol? Is like one joint equal to like 2 shots, or like 1 Utah beer? How does it affect your consciousness and your attentiveness?
So I don't drink at all and have never, so I wouldn't be able to compare it to that, but I've heard that it's not very comparable anyways.
Yeah, I would say it's not very comparable. As far as driving or doing tasks, at a certain point, alcohol really, disables your functioning skills, and I wouldn't say that marijuana has that effect.
A lot of people in Utah and across the nation believe that marijuana is a gateway drug. Do you guys agree? What would you say to those people, Chris?
I would say all drugs are somewhat a gateway drug. You're going to have to start somewhere. But with marijuana, for me personally, and a lot of people I know, it starts there and it ends there. There's no other drugs, because they know that marijuana has not been proven to be harmful, but other drugs have definitely been proven to be harmful, so they stay away from them.
And I think it's really the addictive quality that says that about it, because it's, you would have to smoke a very large amount to even have sort of attachment to it. And so that's kind of, I think, a gateway drug has to be addictive. You have to want the next high, the greater feeling, and marijuana just doesn't have that.
So when you go to buy your weekly marijuana, where do you go to get it? Do you meet someone in a parking lot? What does it look like when it comes? Is it in an edible form? How does that work?
So it would be somewhere, so you go to a friend's house usually, or a friend of a friend, whoever your dealer, you're going to their house, or they're coming to you, and would be somewhere to buying spices at the grocery store, where you kind of scoop them in, weigh it out, and then you go home.
Okay, so, and do you guys ever use edibles?
I have, and I prefer them most of the time.
Are they available here in Utah?
They're available homemade, but not regulated like as in Colorado, where they're regulated so you know what you're getting, you know how much is in each edible.
Right.
What about, you can ask this. Look, you can go to jail. Are you worried about that? You go in somebody's house and there could be SWAT teams smashing in and falling from helicopters, and off you go, and all of your hard work at the university and everywhere, it's a risk. But you got to ask the question.
Yeah. So are you guys worried about the risk here at all? I mean, using pot recreationally in Utah is illegal, and there's jail time associated with that. I believe it's a felony over a certain amount. Is this something that you guys are worried about? You could lose scholarships, you could lose all sorts of things, not be able to go to school. Is this a risk you're worried about?
Yeah, so for me, I'm definitely worried about it, and that's why I think that it needs to be legalized. But there's a lot of risks people think are worth taking. Speeding's illegal, you can get a ticket for that, but people do it. Of course, it's not the same implications, but people break laws all the time depending whether they believe them, which that has issues as well, but I don't believe in them.
What about you, Sam? Do you see any risks here that you're really worried about?
For me, not as much. It's not as linked to my life, but I, am responsible. I use responsibly, safely. The way I go about obtaining it and storing it is done in a way that it avoids that.
Do your family and friends know? Are you like the pothead in the family? Or at Thanksgiving, do you have to step out and say, oh, I'm going to use a cigarette? Or
So for me, my family knows and my friends know. It's not a secret, but they just know that I'm still getting things done, so they don't really care. It's kind of, as long as I'm there and happy and I'm still having a great life, they could care less.
My family doesn't know. It's not something that I would, share with a lot of people, because it does have a lot of negative ideas associated with it. So it's not necessarily something that I'd share freely, but amongst my peers it would be, and my friends know and do it with me.
all right. Well, thank you guys. You guys have just heard from two brilliant, awesome students here at the U about recreational pot use. Back to you, Jim, in the studio.
Okay. Yep. What about you guys?
Any input here?
Got any questions?
Well, no, not about marijuana, but I started thinking, did you ever set the scene and tell them where we are? Because we're hearing this thing, the doorbell constantly.
Okay, yeah, let me...
Did you ever say that we're in a smoke shop? Or I don't think you did.
I'll
Maybe I
throw it
Or you'll
from here.
Oh, so, right, so they'll know.
Oh, that's
So
right.
Wait a minute, though. So the question is, when I do the scene setter outside, should I throw that into the first block?
We can decide that later, but I think...
Yeah, why don't you shoot it that way? Why don't you do that in case we need it?
Okay,
Okay.
that sounds good. Hey there, Utah Progressives. Thanks for joining us. We're here at Smoke Break on 300 South down in City Central Salt Lake. We're just here in the smoke shop talking about recreational pot use and the effects that it has on two of these brilliant U students here in Utah. This is Chris and this is Sam. And there it is.